everyone, I'm Ada from Pleasant Rock, and today I have really honor to have with me a woman, an amazing musician, Gina from Baroness. First of all, how are you, Gina?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure. Like I said, it's always a pleasure having a woman and having a smooth talk because we understand better than interviewing men.
That's awesome.
Yeah, of course. Be- before you join Baroness, of course, I noticed that you have a beautiful background. You are a huge musician, a huge guitarist as well. So, of course, comes naturally to me asking you, Gina, how started your journey into music? So, your own personal journey to music. So, how Gina started to just wake up and grab the guitar? How did it started?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had a guitar kind of laying around. My dad had a guitar at his house. My parents split up, so it was like mom's house, dad's house kind of thing. And so he had a guitar laying around and like a cassette video tape
Oh,
for a little bit like basic lessons, like
yeah,
how to play like the blues was like the cassette video that he had.
yeah,
And yeah, so I started like checking that out, but I don't know like, you know, what it is about why some people get the bug to do this. There's just something about I think for me like rock music and like the
yeah.
energy and when I was like a kid. Yeah, and you hear like AC/DC for the first time and you're like, I'm obsessed with this. Like I have to do this. So
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, I remember those early moments of hearing like AC/DC, and for me, a big one was Judas Priest. Like that was like I think the first CD I ever bought was British Steel with Breaking the Law, and yeah, and
Yeah,
it was
classic.
just totally yeah,
Yeah,
it
of
was like
course.
totally mysterious and like kind of dangerous, and was just like
The
yeah, I want to
motorcycle things. I
yeah
don't know, it's more raw on the street instead of Iron Maiden, more like the classical British heavy metal. The Priests were more like raw. We are
yeah
we are metal. You can really feel the steel of metal in which is
absolutely yeah
yeah
totally yeah.
yeah
Absolutely. And then yeah, and it just goes from there, right? You find like neighborhood friends to play music with and play in bands, and it just kind of like snowballs. And that's the beautiful thing with I think pursuing like music or art, whatever. If you just don't stop doing it, you can like kind of just keep
yeah
following.
choose
And
your your road, your dream anyway. And of
Totally.
course, you immediately start to choose like guitar because you felt like a call from that instrument, or you just as well experiment other instrument before moving forward with the guitar.
No, I just thought guitar is so cool. I was like, that is the coolest thing. And my brother had a bass. So I guess I thought like, oh, well, if he has a bass, then maybe I'll do guitar and then we could like play together. And yeah, so I just thought it was like really cool. And it would seem like less you know, like I could get away with it more than maybe having like a drum set in the house, right? That's always like maybe a struggle for
Yeah,
asking your parents for a drum set.
yeah. That's for sure because as well like drum is too noisy, but you didn't put but guitar as well if you don't put headphone on your head on
Sure,
your head for sure. Did you ever had the chance to play with your brother at the end?
absolutely. Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah, and he's a huge music fan, a big like influence on me, like when we were
Yeah,
young and even still. So yeah, so
that's
absolutely.
beautiful. And of
Yeah.
course, you develop your own way of playing guitar because your musical journey, like let's say in the music world, the music business, when it started, because you put yourself out there, and I went through all your music video but you perform different styles of music with guitar. So you just started putting out yourself. You get in touch with first band. Did you have the project before Baroness? Which is the Gina's journey in the music before joining Baroness?
Yeah, I mean, I have kind of a maybe strange or unique kind of journey. I played in a lot of different bands and was going to college, and while I was like touring and stuff with and just kind of playing out and just constantly doing music, a friend of mine found a like an an audition that a company called Cirque du Soleil was looking for musicians
Right.
to hire for like a new show, and that was just interesting to me, and it seemed more interesting at the time than like what I was doing in school, and so I kind of like stopped doing college and pursued
Yeah.
working for Cirque du Soleil as a musician for them. And I did end up going back to school like online like later on, but in that moment, I don't know, I just kind of wanted to go for it and see what that was all about. Like I had done quite a bit of touring, and I was just intrigued by, you know, what is this world of this kind of, I don't
Touring.
know, like this kind of role for a musician, and so that was really interesting to me, and I did that for quite a few years and had bands and different experiences along the journey of doing that, and eventually I met John through common love of guitar pedals and effects pedals and stuff like that. We kind of met like online actually, like, which sounds so weird.
Yeah, but
uh
this is actually nowadays how happen these things. So
Yeah, it's like
yeah.
so interesting. But yeah, I purchased a fuzz pedal online called Philly Fuzz. That's a city that I'm from, and at the time I lived in Las Vegas, Nevada, which, you know, I was definitely like really homesick and just like missed being
Yeah.
in band, missed touring, and you know, my family and stuff is all in Philadelphia, so I was gonna be visiting home and bought this fuzz pedal online and asked them if I could just pick it up rather than having them ship it all the way across the country.
Of course.
And they said, yeah. And then that's kind of how I met John. He sent me a message and asking if I bought this particular pedal. And I was like, yeah, I was a really big fan of Baroness. So I was confused while the singer was sending me a message. But here, I didn't know this at the time, but it was like his pedal company that he was involved with making them. So that was just really a random coincidence. So that's how we met, and we kind of met up on the premise of like we could make some recordings using the different pedals and try them out, and you know, A B the different ones, and yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's, I mean, that's interesting because I mean, that's how happened the first meeting, the first knowing with the band as well. And I mean, how did you feel the first time you joined actually Baroness? How, I mean, you just enter in the rehearsal room? How did it
yeah.
happen?
Well, John and I hung out a few times and like
Yeah.
played music together. And the first time we hung out, I think we played music for like 8 hours in his basement and just playing
Wow.
guitar and just got along really well. And you know, we just like were becoming buddies. We just stayed in touch, like whatever. And then eventually he was like, "Yeah, the next time you come, I think Nick and Sebastian will be in town, and maybe we could, you know, maybe you could learn some Baroness songs." And
Yeah.
so that's what I did. And yeah, I was really intimidated because I had seen them live, and yeah, again, I was like a huge fan. The Purple album had come out like
Yeah.
maybe like a year before that or
Exactly.
within that year or something. Um yeah, but they're really like just nice guys. So it was like they
Felt
made
like
it easy. Yeah.
home,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
home. And I mean, of course, you think that, of course, I mean, when you joined was around 2017. So basically, you had kind of participation for the album called, yeah, Golden Gray.
Yeah.
Was going on with the album because, of course, being a guitarist, you're as well involved in the composing and in the structure of the album as well. So before speaking about the last album that has been already released, I mean, what about Golden Gray? What is the main topic? And as well, yourself being there for the first time, involved in the composing, how does it feel?
Yeah, that was really like intimidating. I think for me, I just had a lot of personal like self-doubt, and like it's hard maybe to be the new person like joining in, because
Yeah.
I think in some ways being a fan of the band was like a
Yeah.
little bit of a hindrance in that I had all these ideas in my head of what I thought a new Baroness album should sound like. But when you're in a band and you're, you know, John or Nick or Sebastian who've been making these records, it's like, well, whatever you think our sound is, we're evolving because we already did that.
Yeah.
So we're like moving on. And so that was like something I had to kind of like um would just kind of recognize and figure out how to just jump in and move forward and like get on the evolution process with them. And
Awesome.
yeah, so some things felt like I felt insecure about some things like musically, or like, is this too vulnerable, or is this like not,
Yeah.
like whatever traditionally like heavy enough, or this or that. But I think going through that process was like really good for me as just like a musician, and just made me think about composition and songwriting in a totally different way. And I don't think we could have made Stone without having maybe gone through that process of making Golden Gray, because it is an extreme record. It's like
Beautiful.
emotionally heavy, and it has an
Yeah.
extreme like production quality, and it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I do love that record a lot. So
Yeah, that's, I mean, there is, in your opinion, one, of course, we're speaking about personal opinion, like one song that you really, I don't know, you're maybe touched by it, or you enjoy playing in in Golden Gray, for example. Like, of course, you would love every one of that song, but if there is one that you said, I love plays live, I really was enjoying that while we were composing or composed that song.
yeah, I think like for every, yeah, I mean, like you said, for every song, there's like some cool memory or like some
Is
funny thing, or we unlocked some, like, like I remember like Seasons was like a big mystery song. It was like, how are we gonna, we have these cool parts and they're like instrumentally cool, but like, we kind of unlocked the whatever the passageway of making it like an actual like song. And I don't know, that was like, that's maybe one of my favorites. I like playing it live, and I just think it's like kind of a weird song, and it has a lot of cool elements. So yeah, that one I like a lot. I like,
that,
my memories of the very early stages of working on that song to like where it ended up is like pretty cool.
that's amazing, because of course this album been released now. There is a completely Stone, which is, I mean, it's already been released, so already the people are listening to that. And I mean, how, in your opinion, there is, if there is a difference from Golden Gray to Stone, there is a difference. Which is the main difference? It could be as well lyric wise, could be as well in the sound, in the composing as well, the recording,
Totally.
mastering, could be everything.
Yeah, I mean, everything about those two records is so different. We recorded Stone ourselves, so that was like a big difference. We rented like an Airbnb, like a rental home in upstate New York, and we moved all of our equipment into this rented house, and we recorded the album
In the
ourselves.
movies.
Yeah, totally. It was like a totally like, oh, this is like a dream. Like you wake up in the morning with like your best friends and you have coffee and you start like shredding. It was like totally cool.
Yeah.
Um, so that was like, yeah, I mean, the whole process, like both those records, it's hard to even compare them because every aspect was so different. Yeah, the way we went about writing the songs, or even like starting the songs, and how we went about like capturing all the live takes, the mixing. Yeah, I think like it's like lyrically very different. I think everyone was just in a different place, and I think like we just play different together. Like we've had all these years in between the two records of doing a massive amount of touring and just playing together, and you have that time to kind of build your musical bonds.
Yeah, as
And
well, because being joining the band in 2017, you had as well to build as well, feel more yourself like open, comfortable to just put all your as well your idea and the influences in the new records.
totally,
Yeah.
totally, you kind of get to know each other's like musical like impulses. And especially for me and John, like as two guitar players, we just play guitar a lot together, and it's like I kind of know what he's gonna do. Like if he like starts on something, I'm like, all right, he's probably gonna go here, and I can like
Yeah.
compliment it this way, like whatever. So
Like harmonies, but both complete each other. So
totally,
you already know so well, both of you, that, but even when you are jamming or improvising on the stage, you don't have even to look at each other's eyes. You already know what you're doing. That's
totally,
really
yeah,
when you form a bond, a relationship with your, let's say it's a family. It's a
absolutely,
family.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And lyric wise, what is about Stone? I mean, there is a particular topic that is talked or is about, I don't know, personal influences, yeah, personal influences, journeys, or I don't know, life. I mean, what is about lyric wise?
I think there's a big like emphasis on death and just kind of coming to terms with that, and kind of a big emphasis on like the idea of like of home, you know, whether that is like actually your home or the sense of home you feel from like your family or friends, or
Yeah.
like being out pursuing like the thing that you love, like that
Mm.
could be your idea of home. And yeah, and I think just like kind of a general theme of like discomfort
Yeah,
and there's a lot of like tense lyrical moments. And but yeah, I think it's
deep record.
in a lot of ways I think it's like more vulnerable
Yeah.
than Golden Gray. Yeah, it's like a little maybe more pointed in its like lyrics.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, because like for example, I'm going through the track list, which are beautiful title track like Bloom Under the Wheel, Magnolia. They are beautiful. Almost there is a kind of melancholy as well, melancholic, like I say, atmosphere around it. If people,
totally,
for example, they didn't know Baroness and read straightforward the track list, it's like almost something, beauty, see the beauty around something.
totally,
So I think a lot of people can relate it to this album if it's not only, of course, enough for the topic of, for example, of the that word around the atmosphere of dying, of, because it could be the last experience of everything,
totally.
death of a relationship, the death of an experience. So I think it's an album can you apply to everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there can be a sense of mourning through
yeah,
many things that happen in your lifetime. That's not
yeah.
just, yeah. And
Especially nowadays, how it's going through the world in the moment, how it went and it's going. We all have to, yeah. And
yeah,
how did you feel that, for example? Because of course, a lot we suffer from the pandemic, whatever, that eat each other in the war. You think that Baroness suffered from that as well, or you have the kind of moment to gather all your thoughts and start to focusing more like even in the Stone album record and working through that.
yeah. Like I think the because we did start. Well, we were supposed to be going on tour in in we were supposed to be going to Australia, New Zealand, and Japan in
Wow,
March of
beautiful.
2020, and that was like. I mean, we were like a few days away from leaving when it was like the initial like kind of lockdown
Yeah,
for
like
the
around
pandemic.
February, March. Yeah.
And yeah, so quickly after that, it became pretty apparent that like this is going to be going on for a while. This isn't like, you know, this
Like one
isn't happening like this week. This is like going to be
and
going
one, yeah.
on. So we, yeah, yeah. I mean, I think like everybody, we took that time to try to be as productive as possible. But yeah, I mean, everyone experienced this. It's hard when you're not having like external influences in your daily life. It's hard to force.
Exactly.
And then I don't know, like for me, it's like you end up like feeling bad because you're like, I have all this time, but I'm not like doing like, you know,
I'm doing.
like, yeah, it's like force feeding. Like now, like, you
Yeah.
know, do this now. You have the time. It's like puts a weird pressure on it. I don't know. So I'm sure everybody like felt that in
We found that we
ways,
have to
right?
without, with our own mind, with our own thoughts. It was kind of as well of discovering ourselves again. But it was tough because we wanted to go out, we wanted to travel. The
Sure.
music stuff was blocked. Music business was blocked for almost 2 years, 1 year and a half. So,
Totally.
and when you get back, in when did you get back? Like performing live after all these, after 1 year or something like that. How do you felt? How did you feel to
Uh,
be
yeah.
out there after not playing for this whatever corona pandemic we want to call it?
Yeah, it was interesting because I think I thought like, oh, this is going to be this great release and like we're back, but it kind of didn't feel like that because it was sort of like this treacherous zone of like,
Yeah,
is it okay? Is now a good time? Like, all right, let's just try this. Like when our first tour after the kind of major lockdown was
yeah,
2021. like at the end of 2021, and we did a tour called the Your Baroness tour where we played small venues. And if you got a ticket to the show, you could vote for the songs that you wanted to hear
Oh, it's
that night,
super
which was really
cool.
fun for us, especially for me, like being a big fan of like the band. Like I like had a great time learning like a lot of the really early catalog stuff, like stuff that we don't usually play. And actually think that doing that really helped inform like finishing Stone too, because we had all the instrumentals finished, but we were still working on a lot of the vocals and some of the guitar stuff, the guitar layers and stuff like that. um so that was really cool, and it was like great to connect with, obviously the people coming to that type of show, they're like really like fans of the band and are really into the deep catalog of all the music. So
So you were yourself like playing there like more all the old music songs than the new ones.
we ended up doing like 2.5 to 3 hour long sets every night, because we would take the top 10 most voted for songs,
Yeah.
and then we would kind of look like, all right, these ones didn't make the top 10, but there's a lot from this album, or we would kind of break it up to get, songs from all of
Yeah.
the albums. And we did like an acoustic part of the show. So yeah, it was just like a long night of music, but
But
it
it
was
was like almost hanging out as well with the fans, like
totally.
spending all the like an evening together, because especially this is the beauty of the small venues. For example,
Yeah.
in your own opinion, as a, of course, as a guitarist, as a musician, you which type of difference you see like in the main stage, in the festival, or in the
Yeah.
small venue? Which is that, that the difference that you personally perceive while you're playing?
Yeah. Well, like festivals are always fun. I mean, there is like sort of a disconnect depending on the type of festival. Like a lot of times you're really far away from like where the front row begins,
Yeah.
and then there's just people, but it's totally different. Like you're outside. We're really lucky when we get to tour like in Europe, because sometimes we're just in these beautiful places, like,
Yeah.
we're in Switzerland and you can see the Alps and we're like playing. And it's like, what's going on? Like,
Yeah.
how is this something we're doing right now? So that's like just always fun and kind of weird and like its own thing. But yeah, we did tour and right before the pandemic, opening for a band. They were playing like all arena shows. And that was really weird for us, because it's just like hard to like see people or connect with people, and it like wasn't our show. We were like the opening band, and it was just kind of like a strange
I
experience.
don't know, they got to know you. They got, of course, they know Baroness as well, because we are not talking about, like a small band coming out today. It's already settled in the music scene a lot,
Sure.
of course.
Yeah, yeah. And I think maybe some people that didn't hear, didn't know us before, maybe they liked it or maybe
Yeah,
not.
for
I
sure.
don't know.
I
But
mean,
yeah.
I'm here in Italy and as well in Sicily. When I asked about the interview, to the other staff of Poison Drop, they were like, Baroness, are you
Cool.
sure? I was like, yes.
Awesome.
But do you know as well? I'm not the only one that know. Do you know them? Yeah, we know. Can we contribute
That's awesome.
question? I was like, yeah, we can do it. All work together. And when I said your name, because we have a guitar, I'm a guitarist in the staff, it was like, she's Gina. That Gina. I was like, yeah. And
That's
send
awesome.
me one video of you. She's that's her, and I say yes. I'm seeing all her videos while I'm practicing. She goes
Oh,
through,
cool.
she goes through like blues, through heavy metal, to Western music.
Oh, that's awesome.
I was like,
Oh, that's so
I
great.
love her. I love her. I was like, okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you have fans. I didn't know that you had fans of Poison Rock.
That's awesome. I mean, that's like that's so nice to hear. That's like totally
Yeah.
unexpected to hear. So thank you so much.
Yeah, because that's well as well. I mean, you have, like I said, an amazing, a huge background being like solo guitarist, like you as well, Gina. But of course, with Baroness, I think it opened as well, like in your own influences, like a new way of seeing the music of as well of writing your own music as well. Because I think you have your own personal music that you write apart from Baroness.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yeah. I try to just like, I'm influenced by a lot of different types of music, but especially like guitar playing. And
Yeah.
I think I've just tried to spend my life, and it's like an ongoing pursuit. I haven't figured it out yet, but
Yeah.
just how to take all of
Yeah.
the different influences and, you just steal things from,
Make
things
it
you like
your
and try to make it your own.
intention. Yeah. And
Totally.
of course, being yourself as as a guitarist, since we have guitarists in Poison Rock, there is a lot of guitar players that will watch this interview as a gear. So you are on stage, I mean, or just playing at home, which is your personal and favorite gear that say this is my set gear, and that's why I love to use mostly.
Yeah, like for gear, I mean, I play like a Fender Telecaster. It's just like really comfortable for me. I like, it has like kind of a speed thing to it that I like, but I like a lot of like country like western playing, and so I try to like sneak that in with what I'm doing. Um and then like with amps, I like to be really like flexible. Like I have a variety of like pretty small, like clean amps, like Fender Princeton. Pointing at them because they're like here.
Yeah,
But
of course,
Fender,
sure they are close to you.
yeah. And then like yeah, for me, I like it's usually like a clean amp, or it's always like a clean
Yeah.
amp, and then like pedals to drive the amp.
Found, yeah.
You know, I'm also like a big fan of just like whatever you have, just like make it work. I was never like
Yeah.
one to be super picky of like changing pickups or like
Oh, of course. Yeah,
just
yeah.
chatting with a friend of mine earlier that was talking about like changing speakers out in her amps, and I was like, yeah, I never like did that. Like I just like the idea of like whatever's around, like
Exploring.
make
Yeah.
totally, yeah, yeah,
like uh, like experimenting your
totally,
stuff. I mean, of course, and it's always interesting because you can have new sound as well, and that's how you make new music and you experimenting new things and put it out there, and as well giving influences to people because they say, oh
totally.
look,
I mean,
I love Gina, she's experimenting, meaning that I can do it as well. So that's the beauty of the things as well.
absolutely,
And then
yeah.
yeah. And you
I
have
think like,
some, yeah, yeah, sure. Sorry.
oh no, go ahead. Sorry, I cut you off.
No, no, was that? Let's go. Let's go ahead.
Yeah, just because a lot of times we tour, like especially when we come to Europe, we'll rent equipment, and if they might not have exactly what you need like available at that time, so it's just like just making whatever work. I think it's cooler to just like
Yeah,
use whatever, and
that's
it's going to influence
the
your
rock and roll mentality. That's the rock and roll
yeah, totally.
mentality. Yeah. And did you have one, let's say, one or two main guitarists that influenced your own way of playing, or as well like that you had like a, I don't want to say guitar hero, but let's stick to that.
Yeah, I mean, like I like a lot of the classic tropes of guitar heroes. Of course, I have
Yeah,
a Zeppelin shirt on. I feel like
of
cheesy now,
course.
like Jimmy
Yeah.
Page. That's a great guitar hero of mine. Dimebag Darrell's a big hero for me. I just think he's got like a really great
Yeah.
approach to like not only his solos but like his rhythm playing.
He was like the frontman of the band itself.
Totally,
Sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
But yes, Dimebag Darrell and Randy Rhoads is like one of my favorite
A rock
guitar
star.
players.
The
Yeah.
one that guy is born and he's a rock star. No matter what he did, he was always a rock star. He's been and he always will be. And of course, just talking a little bit, I mean, the album. The album is already released, so it's available in any type of platform. There is as well the physical copy. So where the fans can find the album, basically.
Yeah, online, like on yourbaroness.com is our website, and you should be able to find it there for like yeah, wherever location you're in.
Okay,
Um,
great.
and then here in the States, yeah, we're doing a lot of like we did a specific color of vinyl for like independent retailers
Beautiful.
here, like indie record stores, and we just finished a tour of we went and just played acoustic shows at independent record stores like on the East Coast. So
Yeah.
that was cool. Yeah, in Italy, I think maybe the website is probably the best place to go. Hopefully we can come and do the same thing there. That would be awesome.
Let's hope. I will be there in the
Yeah,
first floor.
let's do it. Yeah.
And we will have a
Awesome.
coffee. A coffee. We will
Yeah.
have
Awesome. I have mine here.
That was a coffee before in a plastic. Cheers.
The
So
memory of a coffee.
yeah, and as well, that we will have it. I will sign that. I will put it that everywhere. But as well, like about the live, Baroness are going live somewhere. You're planning a tour. There is an upcoming tour for the release as well of the show of the album.
Yep. Yeah, we have a tour coming up here in the States. It's the Sweet
Okay.
Oblivion tour, and we're going out with a ton of awesome bands. It's like all bands that we've seen live throughout this year that we haven't been on tour. We've been able to have an opportunity to go and check out a lot of bands that we love and admire, and who are, you know, just pushing the boundaries of heavy music in a really great way. So it's kind of like regionally we'll have like different sets of bands throughout the whole tour. That's all like on our website and Instagram, but like Jesus Peace and Chat Pile and Portrayal of Guilt and Primitive Man and Vile Creature. Those are like just a small handful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it will be this tour. There is as well planned some European tour that you will have to check it out for the next year.
Yeah, we're hoping to come early in 2024. So
amazing. So right now for all the fans, you will be available all around US.
US and Canada,
In Canada. The album is already out. So let's go and buy it, listen it, do whatever they want.
Thank you so amazing.
Much. It was really a pleasure, Gina, meeting you, because really I was following you on the social media, and it's really an honor. And I think you're really a model as well for a lot of young girls being up there, because there are always these stereotype of women that have to be, like the aesthetic way of just, but you're just yourself. And that's really important, because I know there are a lot of singer, musician, female musician as well, but you have something particular because you switch through a lot of the genre, and that's what I really love about you.
Thank you so much.
You are really stunning, and you and Baroness, it's a perfect fit, and looking forward to see you all live. And
also,
have a good luck and enjoy this upcoming tour and all the positive press and whatever from the release of the album. Thank you so much, Gina. It was a pleasure.
Likewise. Thank you. It means so much. Thanks for having me. Yeah. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
Yeah, for sure. The coffee toast. I won't forget.
Yes. Awesome.
So have a good day, good rest of the day, and and good luck with everything. And it was really an honor.
Likewise. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. See ya. Bye.